Farmers are not laying down their arms. On Wednesday, tractors will block the entrance to all provincial cities in Poland. A record may be broken in terms of the number of local and national road blockages. There are 2 days left until the protest, and there are 374 applications. This number of 374 is a record number of gatherings since the beginning of the protests. The situation is very critical. If we don't win this now with the abolition of the Green Deal and about some restrictions there, the import of grain, agricultural products from Russia and Ukraine, then after the elections we won't win it anymore. And there is something to fight for, because agriculture is really our food security. On the 15th of March, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced that as a result of continuing talks with European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen, the Commission had agreed to abandon the obligation to set aside arable land. Farmers, however, are not giving up. The entire Green Deal should go into the trash, they say. This concession is really a slap in the face for farmers, because agriculture is really 1/10 of the Green Deal. The rest deals with energy transition issues, and the effects will be felt by all of us, which is why farmers remind us that today the Green Deal hits a farmer, tomorrow each of us will pay for the ideas of the EU elite. A drastic increase in food prices, new environmental and climate taxes, and imposts, a directive on energy efficiency of buildings. On the 12th of March, the European Parliament passed an amendment to the EU's directive on energy efficiency of buildings. Beginning in 2030, new buildings are to be with zero emission, and existing ones are to be retrofitted to achieve this state by 2050, meaning that they will not be allowed to use coal or even gas stoves, and will have to be insulated, at the owner's expense, of course. If we saw what the savings will be on this heating, it would turn out that this savings will pay us back in 50 or 80 years. And this is the utopia that the left is trying to push us into. Starting next year, there will be no more subsidies for gas stoves. Now, according to the new regulations, the green ones are heat pumps. Strangely, Germans are opening plants to produce these devices. In Poland, I don't even know whether a mile of buildings are zero emission. That is, practically all of them will be for thermal modernization and for changing the heating method. The fact that the current ruling coalition saves Siemens because it won the tender for windmills, the fact that German companies want to produce heat pumps and sell them to us, unfortunately, these 3 months should already convince us. Why have an airport in Warsaw when we have one in Berlin? In a week's time, the European Union will vote on an EU regulation on the restoration of natural resources, one of the pillars of the Green Deal, which also hits agriculture. We blocked it. Morawiecki was against it in principle, and it turns out that there are reports that Donald Tusk may agree to it. An election campaign is underway in Poland. Therefore, this is a certain test for the Polish government. Prime Minister Donald Tusk has repeatedly invoked his influence in Brussels. The Prime Minister may show how much influence he has over the European Commission's decisions, or it may turn out that this leverage is less than it might have seemed so far, and less than the politicians of the new coalition have announced. The Agricultural Labour Solidarity Union announces another big demonstration in Warsaw. It will take place on the 10th of May. The unions will protest this time specifically against the EU's Green Deal. Łukasz Muda, TV Republika.